So Solana had their 7th network outage. Why did this happen, and what do they plan on doing to help stop this from happening in the future? And this took place the end of last month, April 30th, going into the 1st of this month. But before we jump into that, I want to take a brief second to talk to you about one of the new partners and sponsor of today's video, which is a service I personally use, but now get a chance to actually work with this company, which is called 𝗓𝗠𝗠𝗡. So 𝗓𝗠𝗠𝗡 is a company that allows investors a way to round up their everyday purchases with their bank account or their debit card into cryptocurrencies using exchanges they already have an account with. Now, they also offer a all-in-one portfolio tracker where you can not only track your cryptocurrencies, but you can also track NFTs and traditional stocks. Now, 𝗓𝗠𝗠𝗡 is super easy to set up. You just create an account, you connect your payment information, then you set up the different exchanges you want to use. Now, they have most of the top exchanges that you can use in the space today, and you can see I personally have Voyager connected. Now, if you would like to check out 𝗓𝗠𝗠𝗡, they are also doing a free 30-day trial. You can sign up by using the 𝗓𝗠𝗠𝗡 link in the description below, or you can also go to 𝗓𝗠𝗠𝗡.com and use Mike the Investor for your promo code when signing up. But now let's dive into why does Solana have the network outage, and what do they plan on doing in the future to help keep this from happening right after this. Welcome back to the channel, Future Millionaires. I'm Mike the Investor. Now, even with Solana being one of the top 10 cryptocurrencies in the world today, it is still suffering outages. And so if we look at Cointelegraph, we can see the headline says Solana suffers the 7th outage in 2022 as bots invade the network. And so the NFT minting bots on Solana contributed over 4 million transactions per second, knocking validators off of consensus and crashing the network for around 7 hours. Now, the 7-hour outage overnight between Saturday and Sunday, due to the large number of transactions from the NFT minting bots, it wasn't until 7 hours later on Sunday, 3 a.m. UTC time, that the validators were able to successfully restart the main network. And here you can see this is the Solana status of what was going on. And so the bots hoarded a popular application used by Solana NFT projects to launch collections called Candy Machine. Now, if we look at another article referencing the same outage, you can see here's the transaction per second history, and right here you can see where we had the huge drop off on the Solana network. Now, of course, the Solana network isn't still down, but this is just talking about the result of what was taking place as they were seeing the congestion and the failed transactions at that current time. And so the last part here, you can see notably the latest outage did not result in a permanent halt of the network as in the past. However, the severity of these spam transactions means that only a few validators with high compute capacity are still online. And this meant only a few transactions was actually getting through. And this is why they had to do a cluster restart, which brings all the validators back to speed to get the network in full flow. And from that, you can see Solana drop from 96 to $82.50. Now, what does Solana plan on doing about this? Now, this is coming from Solana.com news themselves, came out Monday, May 2nd as well. You can see 4/30/22 Solana mainnet beta outage report and mitigation. So let's go ahead and move down a little bit. So what is being done? Now, I'm not going to read into all of this because some of this is kind of like, in developer talks, and, I'm not a developer, and I had to kind of like Google some of this stuff to really figure out what they were talking about. And so the 3 mitigations are in the works to address the stability and reliance of the network. So the first mitigation is the QIC. Now, in order to affect the control over the network traffic, Solana core protocols are being re-implemented atop of QUIC, a protocol built by Google, designed for a fast asynchronous communication like UDP, but with the session and flow control like TCP. And so UDP is, not as fast, but very efficient. And TCP is extremely fast, communication, language, which these work in unison. Now, all 3 of these mitigations work together. Now, the second mitigation that Solana is going to implement is the stake weighted transaction QoS. Now, you can see under this model, a node with a 0.5% stake will have the right to transmit at least 0.5% of the packets hits to the lender. And so in the rest of the network, and no combination of the remaining stake will be able to fully wash them out. So pretty much, instead of, the prioritization is a must in order to end the current practice of indiscriminately accepting transactions on a first come first served basis. This is going to help with allowing everyone to have a fair shot of allowing their transaction to go through. Then you have the QIC, which is supposed to help with the speed of that. Then you have the fee-based execution priority, which essentially this will allow people to pay an additional fee. So if the transaction is too big, instead of it being failed because the block is too big for it to fit in that current transaction, it would just be added to the next block, and then the transaction will be scheduled to go through instead of just having a bunch of failed transactions on the Solana network as we've seen in the past. And so in simplest terms, now I know it'll go a lot deeper than that, but once again, I'm not a developer, just trying to give it to you in simplest terms, right? And so the last few things I briefly want to touch on, it says fees are coming to Solana. Now listen to this, there needs to be some mechanism that prioritizes which work is done and which work fails, since transactions are packed into blocks by the highest fee/compute unit priority. The higher paying transactions will get to write first if validators are acting in their self-interest, and this is what they're trying to stop. They're actually trying to get the validators to act in full transparency. And so the last section here, it talks about the subsequent transactions that are paying a higher fee but can't fit into the block because they have hit the maximum. Limits of writing to an account are spilled and scheduled for the next block, but other transactions that interact with the other accounts can still be added to the same block, even if they are paying lower fees. And so basically, just because a transaction is bigger than the other one doesn't mean it always has to go first. And this is what helps give it a level playing field. And if you can see here, fee prioritization work in progress, and it is targeted for version 1.11 release. So on the other side of the coin, even with Solana having these outages, it is still one of the top 10 cryptocurrencies in the world today, which shows the prominence that it has risen to, which shows the dominance that it has, and it also shows the community is strong behind Solana, that it still believes in the technology, it still believes in the vision that Solana is going after. And so if you gain some value from this video, smash the like button, like the video, comment, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.